So look, I've made well over R1 million from the content that I've done. In fact, many of my videos, this one recently just earned $1,000 in just 2 days. Now, if you're from South Africa, that is around 18,000 Rand, which is pretty insane. So I've been very fortunate to literally do all of this by just using my phone. And no, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm just literally here to share my story because I saw a bunch of videos recently of people talking about, their R1 million journey through making money online. And I thought, let me just share my experience as well. Because the average South African right now, stuck at a job, there's something else they might want to do. And I think there's a lot of opportunities out there. But even if you're not from South Africa, there's still pretty decent money with that. In South Africa, I know that the average salary is around 28,000 Rand. And if you make anything from 160,000 plus, that's the top 1%. I have reached that in the last couple of years. Now, I want to make it very clear that I'm not here to brag. I'm just here because there's a lot of people who obviously want to know how to grow. I'll explain my story of how I did it, and I'll give some tips and pointers of some opportunities that I see out there. And before I move on, I just have to say that I would not be here without the grace of God. Everything you have in your life, you can credit your hard work, you can credit the discipline you've put behind it, and those things are important. You can't just sit around and wait, but without God, there's no way that you will make it. Trust me, my friend, it's just the truth. And even if I lose followers saying that, it's still the truth. Now, I will mention that to be in the top 1%, you obviously have to do 1% things. Because if you do what everybody else does, you're just going to end up where everybody else is. It's the work that no one else wants to do, which is where your opportunities are probably going to lie. So what I will say is I'll explain my story. So basically, I've made content now for a couple of years. I started out doing magic trick videos in 2018. Before that, I was posting actually always, but I wasn't getting any views or anything like that. And then I decided, okay, let's look at what the guys in the UK and the US are doing. I went to a beach, I replicated their videos, and it actually went viral. So that one video got 15 million views. I suddenly got invited to perform for the Springboks, which is our national rugby team, also the best team in the world at the moment. Things just kind of took off from there. But I wouldn't say that was the opportunity that changed my life, because I had to keep at it. So I took on TikTok in 2020. I knew that it was going to be a big thing. I was kind of skeptical at the beginning, and luckily I grew millions of followers there. I grew it to what was at the time the biggest following in the country. I still have, I think, the biggest combined following, which is really cool, and which I've been very grateful for. You can see the YouTube button in the back, because that's also something that I took on, and I've been very fortunate. These are things that took years to figure out, but once I got an understanding of it, it just piled up. But yeah, I've been very fortunate to do what I do, earning dollars in South Africa, making content literally from home, and it's given me pretty much a great lifestyle. I've got to travel a lot. I've been to Dubai, the Maldives, Japan. I took my dad to the World Cup. I took my brother to see a Formula One race. He's a huge Formula One fan. I also got to buy my parents a car, which has been a massive dream of mine, because to me that's one of my big life goals, is to be able to obviously retire my parents, take care of my wife and children one day, and just live a fulfilling life and the best life possible. I know hard work sometimes sucks, but at the end it's absolutely worth it. And I also want to make it very clear that I didn't start with anything. I didn't have a rich background. I didn't have a parent who pushed me with some money at the beginning. I know a lot of people are giving these crazy pieces of advice, but they've had such a huge backing behind them. And I think the biggest part of entrepreneurship, content creation, anything like that, is learning to go through failures and actually dealing with it, because that's where you learn. Because obviously when you play golf, the first time you miss the ball, that's actually learning, it's not failing. And I think it's very important to have to go through that on your journey as well. Now, when I first moved to the city, because I'm from a very small town, I was trying to just make a name for myself, put out content. This was back in 2020. By then, things were already going really good. I thought, okay, I could do a career with this. Bear in mind that this advice applies to anyone in any form of content you're doing, whether you're a fitness coach, whether you're a business. Everyone wants attention, and social media is where everyone's attention is. So just keep that in mind. I will talk about how you can build a personal brand, how you can monetize yourself on social media, and hopefully I'm not here to give you any financial advice or tell you what to do. You're responsible for your own decisions, but I can at least explain my story and tell you my thought process of of how I look at it. Like I said, I grew up in a small town. I literally I was consistent with content. I was working so hard. Like every possible magic trick video you could probably think of, or any magic trick that you've seen online, I literally replicated them all. I literally did all of them and more. And that's not an exaggeration. But it also came down to, the brands I worked with, the emails I answered, the network I built, all the small things that piled up. And I remember when I moved to the city, I was in a small apartment. There was a guy living downstairs who always smoked into the apartment, which is one of the big reasons I actually moved. So me and my brother, were just so excited to be in the city. And I remember looking across the road, and it was this nicer estate. I think the homes there sold for 18,000, and I just thought to myself, who has 18,000 rand a month for a home? And the one I'm staying in right now is 40K. It's a very nice area. It's it's, again, that's not to brag. It's just crazy that when you set out to actually chase these goals, you actually surpass them many, many times, and that's happened to me time and time again. So I really want you to kind of take that into mind, because sometimes if you don't kind of think about it and you don't see it as a reality, then you're going to shape a world around that. There's a thing called a poverty mindset. Like if you think money is rare, if you think money is nowhere, then that's probably how you're going to live. You're going to save up the little bit you have. You're not really going to spend time towards working. You're just going to spend time towards saving money, cooking your own food, doing all that stuff. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying, like, it could quickly become like, obviously you have to save money as well, but it can quickly kind of obsess, you can quickly kind of obsess over it. And before you know it, you're not really striving for more. So you kind of create your own reality in that way. Like I always had the ambition that this is what I'm going to do. And the other day I saw a guy say this, and he said that almost every successful person he talks to didn't have a backup plan. And I thought, that's so true, because I had no backup plan. I was literally with my parents, and I was like, this is all I'm going to do. This is what I'm dedicated to doing. And ultimately it paid off. I'm not telling you to take massive risks, but sometimes, you need to believe in something extraordinary in order to achieve something extraordinary. Because if you believe like everyone else, you're just going to ultimately end up where everyone else is. So in 2025, everyone wants to build a personal brand. It's like the niche word, and I think everyone should capitalize off that. But the thing that I always say is people want this clear answer of what they should do, but there is no golden nugget. And I think that is a very important step. Like, many of you watching this video want to know, how to monetize yourself, how to grow a strong brand, but you might not even have an account yet. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, just take these steps at a time and try to get there. I look at life like these massive amounts of check boxes all the way from here to probably, I don't know, like Egypt. And you have to mark every single one of them. It's like when you work out, right? Like you can break the plan of in 6 months, you want to have a six-pack, you want to have this, you want to have that, but you can break it down to per week, per day, and then you can even break the sets up into different reps. So every single rep you do, you can mark the tick box, but there's a long tick box or a long list of check boxes that you have to mark in order to reach your final goal. And there's no one giant box that you can tick that's going to make a massive difference. Same with reading books. Like that's something I would encourage you to do. But you're not going to read a book. You're not going to read Diary of a CEO and suddenly you're going to be the best CEO in the world. That's what everyone does. And I haven't really seen anyone become successful from reading that book. So, I could be wrong, but to me, that's not the way to look at it. You want to say that, in the last year, I've read 100 books. And then you'll probably have gathered enough knowledge. And it's all these small tick boxes or check boxes that eventually get you there. For me, there's no single video that changed my life. It was all the content I did, every single email I answered. Many of them were wasted time, but that was the necessary input. And I think when it comes to content, that's a good way of looking at it. You have to put out enough content, and then, you're going to see days when nothing's happening, but there's going to be days when you're like, whoa, that one repost video or that video you didn't care about blew up. I hear this all the time, and you've probably heard it too. And that's what it comes down to, is being consistent, checking those check boxes. Don't look at a day like, oh, today I tried to create a Facebook page, but there were so many errors. I mean, that's still work. What else were you supposed to do? You were trying to, your intention was to work towards that. And even if there were a little bit of I don't know what's the right word, but you still tried to do it. So that's kind of the way I look at it. I would say learning is important. I would say look at it, life as this consistent compounding of all these check boxes you have to tick. And also remember that you can't do anything without God. Like I said, there's no golden nugget. It's the same with working out. You can't say, okay, well, what workout should I do? Because I've tried this for 3 years, nothing's happened, but you haven't been to the gym in 3 years. Like, that's the biggest problem. Like, people want to hold on to the thing that doesn't really matter instead of taking action on the thing that does. Like, you don't need the right, program that helps you with outreach emails or, content scheduling. You don't need any of that. I did most of my first videos on an iPhone 7. Back then it was already old. So just kind of keep that in mind. You don't need the business, you don't need the fancy stuff. All you need is God. All you need is the determination, the discipline to keep going. And the thing that's going to guide you through it, which did it for me, was remember your why. Remember why you want this. For me, I want to help people. I truly do want to, add value to people's lives. I see so many people, just stuck at a job, just stuck at a life that they don't enjoy. And look, I believe in hard work. I don't think you're going to enjoy day to day. I think you have to be uncomfortable, but at least make it worthwhile so you can travel, so you can enjoy life, so your parents don't have to worry about medical bills or anything like that. And that's always been the goal for me. Like I said, I came from nothing. I've been striving to do this for a very long time. So whether you're in health or fitness, everyone has some type of advantage. Everyone has some type of unfair advantage of something that, a skill you might have learned. And I think you have to adapt that to social media. And you have to try and get attention around that. It's a big opportunity which everyone's taking on. And I think just start making content. Just grab a phone and start talking about what you're doing. And I also want to mention, nothing comes easy. Like, all of this didn't just come to me. It honestly, it took years. I'm obviously trying to shorten that for you by, giving this advice. And that's the reason I have the one-on-one calls and mentorship, so you don't have to spend years trying to figure all this out. By the way, that link will be in the bio, but that's completely up to you. But, there were challenges in life. I stayed with my parents when I was trying to build this in the early stages. People will ask you, like, where's your car? When are you moving out? What are you doing with your life? People will doubt your vision. People will look down on you, and not everything will go good. I've had many videos just prove to me time and again, look, this is not the way to go. This is not working. And those are things that takes months to get over. And I think those challenges are part of life. And, like I said, I wasn't the most confident person. I missed out on a lot of opportunities in life, but the sacrifices were all worth it. And it's those things that led me to become the person I am today, so that now I can look back and think, wow, I'm almost unrecognizable from who I was. But always stay true to your values, always stay true to God, and remember that He's the reason that you got here. To tie everything back together, you want to live a top 1% life. You don't want to have to worry about having a boss tell you what to do, even though I work for bosses pretty much all the time now. But I mean, just having that sense of control over your life, that on a random Wednesday you can go play some golf. You can afford the stuff you want. You can buy the stuff in the grocery store without really looking at the price. I think that that's a life that I aspire to. And if there was someone back then who could tell me that it was possible, I probably wouldn't have believed them. But that's kind of what I'm trying to put out here. I wasn't the most confident person. I wasn't the hardest worker. I just literally took action and really believed in my why and really believed I could do it. And I hope you guys find some value from this video. If you did, be sure to subscribe. We're building this channel from the ground up. Obviously, I've been fortunate to grow millions of followers, but this is for me, for people who are more serious. And I obviously also want to add some inspiration and advice to people's lives as well. But yeah, that's it from me. See you guys in the next video.